I mean, no one screamed separation of church and state. It was just people together trying to make some ripples. Just a church simply trying to follow hard after Jesus. Mark Batterson, in his book Wild Goose Chase, writes about how the Celtic Christians had a unique name for the Holy Spirit, Ange Glas, or the wild goose. They saw God's Spirit as someone that could not be tracked or tamed. There was an element of danger, an air of unpredictability surrounding his leadership. And he writes about having what he calls an inverted relationship with God. He says this: instead of following the Spirit, we invite the Spirit to follow us. Instead of serving God's purposes, we want him to serve our purposes. And while this may seem like a subtle distinction, it makes an ocean of difference. The result of this inverted relationship with God is not just a self-absorbed spirituality that leaves us feeling empty. It's also the difference between spiritual boredom and spiritual adventure. It is. Man, I'm learning that if you chase the wild goose, he will take you places you never imagined going. He will lead you down paths you never knew existed. I'm telling you from my personal life experience, it's a chase that will be anything but boring. Debbie and I have a daughter named Jody, and Jody and her husband Mike are in the middle of a faith journey right now. They've taken a risk and they moved to Ventura, California. They're planting a church there with a great team of people, just trying to stir up some hope in the city, trying to create some positive pandemonium in that city, and really, really proud of them. But when Jody was in high school, and some of you have heard me talk about her before, she wasn't living a very good story. And she started to go down some pretty dark paths. And for those of you that are parents, and you can do the best job of parenting you possibly can. I'm not saying that we did. I'm just saying you can do a great job of parenting, but you need to know your kids are fallible human beings just like you. I mean, they got a free will. They can make choices, and Jody was making some really, really bad choices. Well, just to make a long story short, she surrendered her life to Christ. And that was a really cool day for us because, man, I've been praying for a long, long time. God, I prayed two prayers. God, give her discernment. And the other prayer I prayed was, God, make her a lousy liar. And she was a lousy liar, man. I mean, she couldn't cover her tracks worth anything. And she ends up just being exhausted by living a life of lies and a bad story. So she surrendered her life to Christ. She said, you know what? I just want to let God lead me now. I've heard you talk about following Jesus, and I really want to follow Jesus. And I think he's calling me to go to Haiti. I said, really? She goes, yeah, really. We'd been there on some short-term mission trips. She said, I just love the kids there, and I don't want to go to college right now. And I think God is calling me right now to follow him there. I just want to serve those orphans in the medical clinic too. And I said, oh, okay. I said, now, Jody, you do know, don't you, that like Haiti is the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere? It's like 3,000 miles from home. It's like AIDS infested and it's got all kinds of drug problems, and it's tough. She goes, I know. I'm just trying to follow Jesus. I go, okay. One of the hardest things I've ever had to do is put my little girl on a plane. You go, okay, God, it's your kid. See you later, Jody. Well, for that year she was there, we couldn't really communicate with her very often. Technology was not what it is now. So sometimes we would get emails, but they would be like bounce off of ham radio signals. I don't know how that works, but it did. Sometimes it was real jumbled and not real clear. But one night we get this crystal clear email from Jody. And she said, Mom, Dad, tonight has been one of the greatest nights of my life. Said, I got called out in the middle of the night to deliver a baby. I've never delivered a baby in my life. And they thought I was a nurse because they saw me with a nurse yesterday. And the nurse wasn't there, so they came and got me. She goes, I get to this hut, and there's this naked, screaming pregnant woman on the dirt floor of this hut, and I got a flashlight in my hand, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm 18 years old. I'm in a third world country all by myself. I'm in a hut with a naked, screaming pregnant woman laying on the floor, and I've got no clue how to deliver this baby, but I've got to deliver this baby. And she said, to make matters worse, a visitor, unwelcome visitor, walked in the hut. She was dressed in the kind of the red and blue garb of, for lack of a better term, like a voodoo priestess, like a voodoo witch doctor person. And she said, Jody said, it's the most evil presence I've ever felt in my life. She walked in the hut, and And she starts walking around in a counterclockwise fashion, and she's chanting something in Creole that I couldn't understand. She stops at the woman's belly and puts some kind of ointment and chanted something, and then walked around us again, going the other direction, stopped at the woman's head, put some ointment on the woman's head. The woman is freaking out. I'm freaking out, and this woman's chanting something that I can't understand. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm 18 years old. I'm in a third world country. I'm 3,000 miles away from home. All I got's a flashlight and no clue, and some voodoo woman staring a hole through me. I didn't know what to do. She goes, I just looked back at her. I knew she didn't understand English, but I just started singing. Our God is an awesome God. He reigns from heaven above. Wisdom, power, and love. Our God is an awesome God. She goes, the lady just threw her stuff down, ran out of the hut, and I delivered the baby. And she writes at the bottom, she goes, and I knew that baby was going to be born with the blessing of God, not some silly curse of darkness. And I'm reading this as her dad. As her dad. Thinking, what are you doing in a hut with a voodoo woman? You get on a plane tomorrow, you come home. We got puppies. We got ice cream. We got really nice pillows. You need to come home, girl, you know. But I'm telling you, you can ask my wife, Debbie. In the next breath, I said, way to ripple, girl. Way to go, Jody. You know, who knows whose life that little boy that she delivered that night, whose life he's going to touch when he grows up, what kind of hope he's going to stir up, what kind of pandemonium he's going to cause in a positive way for Jesus Christ, all because one courageous 18-year-old girl says, I'm tired of living a boring story. I want to live a better story. I want to make some ripples with my life. And that's what I'm going to do. Jesus said in Mark 8:35, only those who are willing to throw away their lives for my sake will ever know what it means to really, really live.